Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm continuing my Secrets to Milestones Deadlift series where I am talking about my mindset and what I had to learn in pursuit of each major milestone that I've hit so far in the deadlift. Today we are talking about what I learned en route to a 700-pound deadlift. Now, just to recap the past couple of episodes, the road to 500 pounds, then 600 pounds, I would say those milestones were pretty easy to come by relative to the amount of work I had to put in. I would say my first 500-pound deadlift was late at the tail end of high school, and my training wasn't really serious, but some of the things that led to me hitting that was me learning to become more serious, right? Essentially, learn to be disciplined in whatever program I was given, and then learn to be passionate about lifting and put that passion into lifting the weight. Then, as I progressed into the 600-pound range, I had to become much more cognizant of my form, although my form by no means was ideal. If you go back and watch that video, it very much looks like an RDL, but I had fixed the problems as far as backgrounding goes. So I really set myself up for longevity, working on that form, and also learning to eat. So that was a huge thing throughout college where I had to learn that, oh, hey, consuming a lot more calories will translate to weight on the bar, and that was a huge deal. Now, the 700-pound deadlift milestone was a lot harder to come by than the other two before. And you may say, of course, right? Because early on in our training career, we have a tendency to think that gains are going to be on this linear path, but in reality, it turns into like a logarithmic scale, basically, where it goes fast up and then it starts to taper off and your advanced lifter gains become hard to come by. My first 600-pound deadlift was in the fall of 2015, and then this first 700-pound deadlift that I'm about to show you, if you hang around at the end of the video here, was in June of 2017. So it was about a solid year and a half of training. So in the grand scheme, a year and a half is still pretty quick, but you'll be able to tell I was able to mostly refine my technique to get there and proper training with the deadlift. So whenever I hit that 600-pound deadlift, I started into this phase where I was pushing things very, very hard. I worked with George Lehman as my coach during that 2015 year, and essentially he really pushed the volume for me. And I do need to make a quick correction. It was 2014 that I hit the first 600-pound deadlift. So it was a 2.5-year process, which sounds more correct. It was a longer road to that 700-pound mark. But in those years, I was pushing the volume really hard and working on my form, but I thought I had dialed it in. And in hindsight, I had not. Looking at that 600-pound deadlift that I did originally and looking at some of those milestones in between, my form was far from perfect, but in my mind, I thought I had corrected it. So I moved on to pushing the weights and the intensity. I remember during this time, I would just go nuts. I was working at the restaurant late hours during the summer. Usually I was working weekends during college, and I would get off from the restaurant, around 11 p.m., go into the weight room at 12 a.m., and I would train from 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. And I remember learning to use my emotions here. And that's maybe one of the big takeaways. If you see me at a meet nowadays, my emotions play a huge role. it's this time period I learned to use them, and maybe even a little bit too much. And once I learned to balance them back down, that's where the gains really came for deadlifts. So in this road to 700 pounds, it was one, learning to push really hard, sometimes too hard. Right now, looking back, I think I pushed it a little bit too hard during that time period. And then also letting my emotions fuel more progress, because you can lift more once you get that adrenaline going. And the combination of those two, plus proper coaching, I started working with Bill McCarthy in 2016. It kind of led to this moment here that you're about to see in Minsk, Belarus. And this was in the warm-up room of the World Championships. I pulled 683 to secure a bronze medal, and I felt like there was plenty in the tank. So the day after, in the warm-up room, we went and loaded up 700 pounds, and this is where my first 700-pound deadlift took place. I was about, I think I just turned 21 at this point in 2017, and you'll notice
Squeeze,
it was nice and easy.
Yeah.
Shout out to the support from Chelsea and Andre and Bill. He kind of amping me up. Here it is one more time. We'll take a look. Notice, just like I said, learning to use those emotions. I was a little bit more in my head. Took the back slap. Up until this point, I didn't do a whole lot of that. On the platform, I was very stoic and kind of in my own head. So I would say this was part of that evolution to where I am today, starting to use that emotion a little bit more.
Nothing, come on! Nothing!
So there we are.
Squeeze. Yeah.
Thank you all for watching. Hopefully this provides some insight for you all as far as what I learned in my journey. As always, I'm sure your journey will not be the same. Please share with me down below some of the lessons you've learned, and are you on the road to your next milestone in the deadlift. Until next time, happy lifting, and I'll see you all later.